today we're going to focus on key admin settings which every ShareFile admin should know. Here's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to start with user management. So those are the core admin settings on provisioning users, the differences between the users that we can have in the platform. Those are our like employee and client users. And then also how to set up the right permission set and how to assign them the right folder in there. Then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Matthias, and he's going to cover the account admin settings like security, compliance, controls. At the end of the webinar, we also want to really share some tips, best practices, admin shortcuts, so you can make your environment clean and healthy. And yeah, any questions will be answered, and we're also going to be sharing next steps at the end of the end of the webinar. So in ShareFile, what we have is we have two types of users. And basically, when you go here to your People's tab, you're going to find the two types. We have employees and we have client contacts. Employees, those are your internal users, those are your internal staff, and they also handle a paid license in ShareFile. So for the employee users, it's very easy to create them. You click on create employee. We need some basic information like their first, last name, email address. Company is optional in here. You can add multiple manually in that way, or you can also do a bulk import with an Excel. This option is quite useful, I would say, definitely for account starting over, because you know, okay, we have this X amount of users we want to add, we want to provision. We have a nice template spreadsheet that you can use. It's basically the same fields in there, first, last name, email address. When you add them, they'll be in here for you. So you can start basically assigning them with the correct permissions. So give it a go with that one. It's a great option here and reduces the manual work a little bit. After you add the users, what you can do is basically take a look at the user access. By default, those are like power users. They'll have all the needed permissions. But if you want to give them more, just take a look at all of the options depending on what type of permissions this user needs to have, right? Or let's say if you added it in bulk, remember that everyone from the bulk import will get those access that you're assigning in here. So it's very good, let's say if you're adding your different departments, so basically, yeah, they can have all of the correct permissions in here. So we have one master admin, right? They can do everything throughout the account. But once you're assigning here the access, if you click on select all, you're basically giving that specific user or those multiple users that you added the duplication of the master admin permissions in here. So they'll be able to do everything. And when I'm saying everything, if we take a look, of course, the general stuff, but stuff like managing people, managing employees just like you, managing client contacts in there. They'll be able to do like branding, access all of the reporting, and they'll be also able to manage billing. So yeah, if you want to have multiple admins, you can very easily do it by just clicking select all in here. All right, so after that, depending on how many users you added, you adjust the permissions, you can start assigning folders, add them to different distribution groups, or copy folder access for existing users. So those are your employees in here. The other type of users are our client contacts. So you have unlimited external users that you can add in here, depending on what kind of purpose they're going to do in the account. Adding a client is pretty much the same process as adding an employee. So basically you're adjusting like you're giving a first name, last name, email address in here, company, and then you're just starting with grant them access to folders in there. Once again, you can do a bulk with an Excel. So once you add all of your users, I really want to quickly touch here on distribution groups, because our distribution groups is a great place, to be honest, for users to have the correct access to specific folders. So if we go here to folders, and let's say you have a specific folder with information and documents that are going to be only related to your IT team, or let's say to your HR team, like my folder here. Those are all of my human resources docs, and I want only my HR department to have access to it, to upload, download, view stuff. So when I go in there, I have this people stuff, right? So in here, I can very easily start adding people. But when I start adding people, I can add them manually, of course, but I can also add it if I have them in a distribution group in prior. So when I go to the address book, I click here, distribution group. I have my HR team already added, so all of the users are in there. I click on it, I add them, I specify the permissions, and that's it. So this folder right now is visible to my HR team. They can get in there. I can very easily adjust permissions moving forward or remove some of them. So yeah, I think that distribution groups personally for me are super useful, and yeah, you can give it a go. In here, you're going to notice another set of users which are called super users. So those are basically users that we add in our super user groups. So super user groups, let's say if we have admins that are like account admins, the super users, you can think of them like more of a data admins. So the super user group is found here under settings, admin settings, security, and you can go ahead and edit super user group. So basically when you add people here, when you add someone, they'll have visibility over all folders and all files within the account. That's why they're like slightly different from the account admins. So probably typical people that you're going to add here may be people from your IT department, so they can have access to all of the data, different files in each folder. If you do not want other people to see, okay, there's actually a super user group in a specific folder, you can just hide it from here, and it's not going to be visible when we go here to the folders. And if you notice in my human resources, though, there was a super user group. Right now, it's not visible because, yeah, I hate it. All right, so I'm gonna go back to people, and I'm going to add my colleague Matthias here as an employee user. And I'm going to give him the full admin permission set. Not going to assign any folders right now. I'm going to notify him by a quick email. So right now, Matthias is added. He can log in there. When you go to this user in here, you're going to see that you can do different actions throughout basically the life of that user. So you can, yeah, you can delete it, disable it. The difference is that if you disable it, you can enable it in future if time. But if you delete it, all of like their access will be permanently ended in there. You can add to groups. You can basically view folder and activity log. So there's a lot of actions you can do. And of course, you can change stuff throughout the way. Let's say I firstly gave him like the full permission set, but then I can reduce some of the permissions in there here under the user access. All right, so one thing I wanted to share as a tip. So what I notice like quite often with my clients is that sometimes, especially big companies, they're adding loads of users. Sometimes they do not know, okay, which kind of users we do need or we don't need anymore. So that's why we have those very nice reporting that can give you a very good view of all of the users that you have. So if you go here to settings, admin settings, account and reporting, it's right here at the top, reporting, and there's a very nice users report that I want to share with you. So basically it will give you a detailed report showing all the users of your account. If you decide to run it over, you can choose if it's going to be a report on employee, client, or both. You can choose the status if you want to, if you basically want to see who hasn't logged in ever, stuff like that. And then you can also make it a recurring one. And that's a suggestion for you, I would say, because if you make it like a weekly or monthly, that's where you're going to have a very clean environment. You're going to check which users are active, which are not, and you can still go in there and disable or delete users and add others. You can choose the format. It can be Excel or CSV. Click on next. And the nice thing is if you choose it to be like a recurring one, as I did, so the recurrence here is weekly or monthly, but you can also choose a folder. So it can be in a specific folder where only specific people has access and they can review all of the data and make the needed changes in the users in there. All right, so Matthias is invited to my account already. So I'm going to pass it over to him and he can take you over first with the login experience.
I just clicked the link from the email that I got on my personal email, but it doesn't matter. And it just asks me to create a password. These things, we will see it later on. You can edit it as you wish. So we'll make a password. We'll just confirm it. We take our phone number because we have multi-factor authentication on. And I will send myself a verification code. So as you saw, you can use a verification code with SMS. You can ask for a phone call, or you can use a verification application. So the authenticators rather, they also work perfectly fine. You will get a little QR code which you scan in your authenticator app, whichever you are using, and you will get the code over there. So this is my experience. As you see, as Laura said, I have the same exact experience as she does. I have nothing so far because I am a completely new user, but let's go to our administration settings, which we are here for today, I presume. The first and most used, of course, is first off the company branding. So, of course, we start off with Laura over here. I can change it to my name. And here, especially in the advanced options, we can set a page title, which will be your company. We can take our icon. We can change our header options with logo, with colors, with the background image. Page options, the exact same. So we can change this to red, for example. Our login page options, that's what we saw before. Also over there, you can put the logo, you can put background colors, a background image. That's then the big one on the left. And also your email template. You can choose your logo. You can change your header and footer text, which is then in whatever language you want. Welcome to ShareFile, for example, or company XYZ has shared something with you. Footer text, thank you very much, this person. Subdomains, so the original is always here. That's your main account, but you can also rename it 2 more times. So we can take L Lazarova. And I can also put myself here. So these 2 subdomains, if you enter them, you will enter the same platform, but you will be redirected to the main domain. So this is the company branding, very useful if you need. So as we see, now we have changed one color, which is the background header over here. Let's go to security, which is something that I touched on Before, when I logged in, I showed you the password requirements. We can edit them: minimum character length, numbers, special characters required, expiration date. You can put in that every X amount of days users have to change a new password. And then, of course, number of passwords before a password can be repeated. So I have Matthias001 exclamation mark today. And then I need, for example, 4 or 5 new passwords before I can use Matthias001 exclamation mark again. Special characters are these over here. So don't try to put anything in Japanese, Chinese, or special characters from all around the globe. Also, Cyrillic doesn't work. So these are the special characters allowed. Take this in mind. Then we have multi-factor authentication, which you also saw that I had to enter my mobile phone number in order to get a text message. You can put it off. You will be opted that you acknowledge the risks that it's not so safe, but you can require it and for employees and for client contacts as you wish. You can also disable the Authenticator app, or you can disable the phone number if you wish. If you have the phone number, you can do voice call only, or you can do text message only. You will always be asked to verify, and you have both text and voicemail. This is the multi-factor authentication. You also have the social sign-in, which means that people do not have to create their password for a ShareFile as such. Currently, we have Google live and go ahead, but very soon we will have Microsoft and Apple ID as well, which means that you send the same kind of email to persons, they will receive it, and they can log in with their Google for now, but potentially also with their Microsoft or their Apple accounts. It will take the same profile as such. And then you have the single sign-on on SAML. This is if you have an internal single sign-on over here, you just put your ShareFile issuer, your external IDP issuer, you upload your certificate, of course, and your sign-in URL. You can put it to be required or not. So this is very handy for companies which want to defer from all those password requirements. So you just put it on single sign-on. You can go to the security policy. So you can put here allowed domains, which is everything that you want to have without restriction. So the security policies will not have any effect on this. And then you have auto remediation, which are a couple of scenarios. So for example, this is a very popular one, which we of course turn on by default. Impossible travel, for example. So I am currently in Bulgaria with the team. So I log in on my ShareFile right now. If in 1 minute I log in from an IP address from Belgium, that's a little bit strange, isn't it? That I can travel from Bulgaria to Belgium in 1 minute. So I will get a report for this. And then we can also make people be locked after several failed login attempts, etc., etc. Here we have, of course, the super user group of that Laura already talked about. So let's switch to the connectors. This is a ShareFile enabled connector to third-party systems. is something that we give. So if you have a box or a Dropbox or a Google Drive or a OneDrive, for example, you can just add and enable those things, and we will have a one-on-one synchronization, for example, with your own Google Drive. So I have a computer where I don't have ShareFile. If I upload something to my Google Drive, it will be automatically synchronized into my folders. Here will pop up my Google Drive if I enable it. Let's do it. Okay, Laura already had it, so I cannot do it, but you will see it popping up over here that you have your Google Drive, and you can actually just use your ShareFile account with all the things that you saved on your Google Drive or your OneDrive or your SharePoint or whatsoever. Another interesting topic, of course, is our storage zones. Customer managed, those are your own storage zones, be it your own cloud environment or your on-premises drives. You will add them through the storage zone controller. We will share a link to more documentation later on. They will pop up here, and you can just select them that you want to use your own customer managed, as we call it, storage zones. We have the ShareFile managed. As you see, we have over here Asia enabled, and we have Europe enabled. Europe just as such. This one is based in Dublin. Europe 2 is based in Frankfurt. If you want an additional storage zone, just let our support team know. They will enable it for you. It will pop up over here, and you can turn it on and off for your users to use as they would like. And then, of course, we have a couple of permissions over here. First of all, the artificial intelligence settings. I think this is a very important topic for everybody. So especially in ShareFile Premium and Industry Advantage, we try to make your user experience as smart as possible with, for example, AI-powered document request lists, but you can turn it off for your users if you want to. So all the AI options, we enable them by default for the best user experience, but you can still turn them off if you would like to. Another interesting one is the email settings, especially the SMTP settings, because by default, your emails will be sent, in our case, through this domain, lauralozarova.sharefile.eu, and your customers will also receive the emails from this email address. If you do not like that, you can put the SMTP in between. You just give your email address, server, port number, username, password, etc., etc. And then we will send the email to your SMTP, and it will be your email server which will forward it to a client, right? A little bit of permissions which you can hide for your potential customers is that clients share files. You can turn it off by default. So for example, I share a file with my client, but I want to make sure that my client doesn't share that file to a third party. I can just immediately turn it off for all my client contacts in one go. And the same goes to the People tab for non-administrators. So by default, employees can see the People tab over here. So they can see all the employees and client contacts, for example. But if I want my internal employees who are not administrators not to see this, I can just hide this entire tab for them. And let's maybe last but not least go to the file settings. These are still a set of permissions. So here we have anyone. These are the most important. These are turned off by default. So if you have a new ShareFile account and you share a file, you will not see the options for anyone, because we want people, for security reasons, of course, to create their account and to log in to our system, so we can track who has done what with which file at which date from which computer, etc., etc. We want a nice audit log, but you can come here and put these on. If you use these, however, let's see whether this is why Laura didn't share any file with me. So we will share, and I'll show you quickly. I'll quickly make a folder, and I will add a file here, my nice picture, why not? All right, so I am there. I can share my picture. And here we have who can access the link. And you will see here anyone and anyone public. So the first option, everybody with the link that I'm going to create. Doesn't matter whether I send it to you or you forwarded it to anybody else, you will be able to enter and see my content. With anybody public, but must enter name and email, there will be text fields, but they are open text fields. So you will have to rely on the person that they really fill in their real name and email address, hopefully. But those two, as said, they are not enabled by default. The other two are after sign in, so we know exactly who is accessing which file.